Yo, so I haven't done one of these in absolute ages, and you can see why. No sunsets, no sunrises. It's been absolutely pelting down. Had one of the wettest sort of summer springs we've had in many years. A lot of rain. There's been just about no surf. In the last video I did with the sand, I said to you, I think the swell's gone. Well, it pretty much did. We had one swell of 2 days with really heavy wind and a lot of rain, and that's been about it since that last big swell I did. You can see there's a couple of lines coming in here, very, very straight on. You can see it's from a southeast direction. So yeah, there'll be some hollow, peaky, sort of close-outy type waves at supers, and I had a bit of a surf at tubes yesterday, riding a new board. I've been playing with some equipment, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Just hasn't been enough surf to really basically to try the boards. I didn't surf this new board for a month because it just hasn't been anything. And yeah, I've been busy doing a lot of stuff, projects on the house and that, because the house is up for sale. We're going to scale down. So yeah, that's been what's keeping us busy. We've had a lot of onshores, ice cold water. Water was like 13 degrees yesterday. So the fishing's been up to shit. So that's why I haven't been doing any of that. I've actually been out twice, but it's just been, there's no banks, and it's just been so shitty. It's not even worth doing a program on it. I can show you a few launches and stuff like that, but there's nothing exciting. Yeah, October hasn't really kicked in. There was fish about a month ago when there was a bit of blue water just before these easterlies started coming in, and since then the water's been chocolate and just off color and cold. Been a few yellowtail caught off the lighthouse and off the water tower, but very, very, very sparse here and there. So yeah, it's been a grim period, unfortunately, and yeah, sorry that I haven't done any vids, but really there hasn't been anything exciting to deliver. So yeah, I've been waiting very patiently, and yeah, I hope you guys can hang in there with me. We'll get some shit going as soon as possible. Yeah, I'm gonna head down quickly and just gonna have a look at what supers look like. We're on the bottom of the tide, going towards springs, and yeah, there's definitely swell. It just depends on this angle. It's very straight on, so yeah, it's going to be shutting down a bit. You get these really good peaky barrels, but difficult to make the whole wave. A couple of waves yesterday, but nothing wonderful, and the water, as I said, is absolutely freezing. You can see it's chocolate brown, really cold. It's not as cold as the winter weather, but the water's colder than we had in the entire winter, believe it or not. But the air temperature's not as bad. But yeah, I'm miserable to say the least anyway. Not a good sign when there's nobody in the car park. It'll pretty much tell you the story. There's waves. Very east swell, look at that. Woo! Some big waves coming through. I don't know why there's nobody out. Whoa! It's been absolutely hosing down. Yo, look at that! Holy shit! But it'll be very, very... The swell is going to be very difficult to line up because of it's so straight on. Wow! Yo. I'm going to show you the sand as well. The sand is slowly disappearing again, as I said would happen. You can see there's the whale tail sticking right out. All the sand that was around it, that was all undercover, has all disappeared. This is what's going to happen. Phew! Oh, there's one guy out. Ah, miserable. It's supposed to be spring. But there's waves. But you can see how straight on this is. Very fast. Super fast. Yeah, Warren Dean was the only guy that braved it out there, but he also got squashed and pinched and beaten pretty badly at times. We all decided to surf tubes, and we had some really nice sessions there for 3 days before the swell died and the sun came out. Yeah, morning guys. Yeah, it's an absolute belter of a day today. Spring tides, beautiful morning. It's like 8 o'clock. Look at this magnificent view. A couple of guys out there surfing at Point. This is where we had the kneeboard world champs. This is probably the first sort of sunny day we've had in 2 weeks. It's been raining, the weather's been shite, we've had heavy onshores. I just wanted to come and show you what's happened to the beach here, and you can compare it to when we were here last during the SA kneeboard champs. But just have a look down the beach here and have a look at what's left. This is what our forecast was going to happen. Just have a look at that. That's the last little bit of sand that's been left, because now what's happened with this, with the swell dropping, is starting to scour the sand back now, and the only little bit of sand we got left is this little strip at the top here, and the rest is just bedrock. Yeah, you can see all the water flow that's come out of the town down here. It's eroded all of this. It's just like all this pebble rock that's been uncovered, and it's basically what's left of the Point beach. I mean, I've never ever seen it like this. I mean, there's barely any sand left here whatsoever. It's just this little section up against the dunes, which has got a steep slope which is great for the summer because it'll dissipate the waves, but it's going to scour this back even further and produce an even stronger slope. And when our winter swells come again next year, this is going to take what's left of the sand and take it out to sea, and all that's left is the dunes. And you can see how vertical they've become already, especially up further towards Supers. It's a real mess. I mean, really, this is crazy to see. I mean, just look at this bedrock here. None of this was ever exposed. This all used to be under sand, all the way up to the top, all the way up to the keyhole. And the keyhole is completely devoid of sand. It's denuded. It's so deep you can't even stand in it because the sand's missing. Yeah, it's a sad picture. Yeah, it's exactly what I said was going to happen. And then we're going to have a look at these sandbags, and you can compare the slope from the previous footage. The guys pushed all the sand up on the beach and bulldozed the sand, and then filled the sandbags up and placed them below the houses. Been a pretty hectic last 2 weeks. We've had a lot of onshores, and that's why this is eroded back on the beach like this, because we've had these lapping onshore waves. We've just come through a period of 4 meters sort of southeast swells, so that's what's eroded this back. And obviously this is from the rain that we've had. These sort of storm drain flow outs from the town. Now we've got this really steep slope up to the sandbags, and there's absolutely no sand whatsoever. And that's as a result of this freaking refracted wave, and it increases the scouring down this section of the beach. And you can have a look and see down below this what's happened to the houses below, and where the embankment has been completely eroded. But I mean, it's incredible. If you look at the footage that I showed you during the SA Champs, which is only a few months ago, 2 months ago, you have a look at how much sand's gone missing here now. It's absolutely incredible. And what will happen now is when the next sets of swells come, it'll go up and scour that bank down. It'll pull this little bit of sand that's left and pull it back, and what will happen then is the sandbags will drop, and what we'll end up with is absolutely no beach whatsoever at a sort of horizontal from where the rocks are, and all the sand will disappear. So that's the problem with this armoring of the beach. I mean, I had guys call me about these sandbags and why I'm so against them, and why it's why I'm dissing the sandbags. I mean, I've got no problem with the homeowners trying to save their properties, but as they're doing in Hawaii now, they're not allowed to, the owners are not allowed to touch the beach. They're not allowed to armor the beach. They're not allowed to put sandbags up, and the houses are washing into the ocean, because that's the only way you maintain the slope, which dissipates the energy of the wave as it runs up the beach. If you create these armaments, you actually cause a barrier which then rebounds the energy and then increases your erosive force down the beach because of the refracted waves. And yeah, I know, most countries it's banned from doing this, and it's been allowed to be done here at this stage, but the knock-on effect down the side of the coast, and especially up or down the current from these sandbags, is pretty hectic. Okay, so now I'm going to take a drive down to the bottom of the beach, where the beach meets the rocks in the corner at Caballio's, and have a look at what it looks like there. Yeah, I should actually have been out looking for a cob this morning. Spring tides, Cobtober. But yeah, the water, as you can see, is absolutely chocolate, and it's about 14 degrees. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a miss until this water comes up to sort of the 16, 17s, and then we'll get some garrick and stuff like that mixed in with a cob. Otherwise it's a one-off crapshoot and you spend a lot of time out there with very little activity. But let's go and have a look at what's happened here. I mean, take a look at the beach here. Now those used to be soft sand dunes which used to come down at a gentle slope, and the beach would run down to about over here somewhere. So this entire section now has been scoured out. This is the Albatross area, and you can see how the slope has become steep now. There's just about no sand left, and yeah, the sand dunes, you can see what's happened here. This increase of flow down around these bags and around the corner here has now eaten away the sand dunes as well. So yeah, it's made the erosion even worse than what it was before. So let's go and have a look up or look towards the south here where these sandbags are. Oh man, I haven't even been down here, so this is my first time in a while to come and have a look at this and have a look at the erosion that's taken place here and how deep this has gone. Have a look at here's probably one of the best examples that you could use of why these sandbags are so bad for the beach. Just have a look at how this is eroded totally to the base of the sand dunes. And eventually what it does is it collapses the bags down. We saw that happen at Richards Bay, and it absolutely destroyed the coastline there, even though they've got a feeder system and a dredging system which comes out of the harbour in Richards Bay. So they've got a replenishment system. We don't have a replenishment system here, so how this is all going to turn out is looking very bleak for the future. You can see these bags have been put here very recently, but I mean, look at how vertical that wall is. So now on the full tide it hits up against the bags and just scours it back, and you can see exactly what's happened here. It's taken the sand away completely, and this is exactly what happened. This is exactly what happened at St. Francis Bay when they put the rocks there. The beach just dropped down to the level below the rocks, and as the rocks get pulled down, the beach level goes down, and eventually you have this horizontal beach, which is what's happened there. There's absolutely no slope, no nothing, and you can see it here. It's busy happening here. I mean, this used to be a sloped beach, and all this rock used to be under the sand. And what it does with these bags is that with your refracted wave hitting the bags and redirecting, you get an increase in flow, and because of our wave action coming in at the angle it does, you get a refracted wave which comes in, which goes north, basically hits the bank. You get the refracted wave coming towards the north, and then it just increases the flow down the beach. And what's going to happen in time is that this entire section is also going to get eroded away, and we're going to end up with the same level here on bedrock with the bags, and there'll be no beach whatsoever. Yeah, these bags, they may save the houses for a while, but man, they just exacerbate the whole erosion cycle.
Yeah, what's interesting in this photograph, if you look at this finger of rock which is going out at a sort of 45-degree angle out towards the ocean, you can see how the sand has become trapped on the right-hand side of the rock ledge. And this is basically the same principle of that will be used in the groins in St. Francis. But you can also see that the rocks actually channel the water towards the inside, in other words against the bags, and you can see how that's increased the erosion due to the flow.
Oh, what a sad sight, eh? That's about it. 3 meters of beach left where there was pure sand, just a rock, barren rock. And you can see all that moss there, that was all covered with sand, and that stuff is deadly slippery. Now just check all this moss on these exposed rocks. Man, when you're coming in and out now in like sort of those half tides, and you come in over here and you're walking in these rocks, you got to be so careful. This area is like glass, man. It's just slippery as hell, and it's lethal. You want to crush your toes, you slip on a rock and your toes go into a crevice, you end up with broken toes. You got to be super careful now with the slipperiness on the rocks. Okay, so I've shown you the bottom of the point area, and you can have a look now. I'm up at Supers again. As I always keep on showing you, look at how steep those dunes. The dunes have come all the way back, and they're vertical because it's scoured it out. And this is what happens in the summertime. The beach gets eroded back, and it takes that sort of halfway section of sand away, and then you're left with a steep slope. And then the first big swell takes that sand away, pulls it back. You go, oh well, this beach is back, it's gone wide. Meanwhile the sand has dropped, and you can actually see what's happened there. That was just this year's, and I'll show you the footage from 2 years ago, and you can have a look at the slope and have a look what it looks like now. But let's go and have a look and see what the whale tail looks like. You'll remember in the last vid that I did, the whale tail was basically under sand because all the sand had been pulled back from the dunes and the beach was sort of very flat, horizontal, and it looked all great because the beach looks wider. But what you're not seeing is that that sand has come from the dune slope, and as you can see again, just look at that, vertical. But have a look at this hole that's been left now, and yeah, it's all going backwards again. Yeah, it's almost unrecognizable. You can see it there. But I mean, have a look at this. This was all under the sand, and that big swell, and those bigger swells earlier. There's the whale tail, and this was all under the sand. This whole lot here was under the sand. It was only the tip of that sticking out in the last video, and all of these crevices here were full of the sand, and now they'd been denuded. There's nothing left, and yeah, this is just going to get worse and worse, unfortunately. You can see the vertical, how vertical the dunes are up towards Charon's. It's just been cut back, and there's just no more sand to refill it. Sad news on a beautiful day. Southeast swell. What is it? SUPing, a couple of dolphins in the background there. Still paradise, but yeah, with a diminishing beach.
Yeah, sorry guys for the sad news. Next week we're going to go visit the boardroom, go and see Dennis Ellis. I'll take you on the tour of his factory, and we're going to discuss some boards and some of the stuff that I've been working on. Yeah, I've been especially interested in trying to find boards which will go better for us older guys, that make your surfing easier. So we'll sit and chat about some of the rockers and just bottom curves on these boards, as well as the concaves on the boards. We'll also take a walk back into history and have a look at what Dennis has got up on the walls. There's some really interesting old boards here. I'm also looking into surfing asymmetricals, and yeah, and just having a look at how we can design a better asim for myself, and yeah, to help my surfing. So yeah, maybe it's of interest to the older guys. Yeah, you know, I'm not partial to surfing longboards, so yeah, I've got to find other ways to make the surfing easier. We resurrect one of the old surfboard labels, Larry Levine's surfboards. He was a fixture at J-Bay. If you ever surfed there in the early days, you would have gotten to know Larry. Yeah, one of the old-time shapers. Unfortunately, Dennis is probably one of the few guys remaining that's still hand shaping in the area. So yeah, join us next week. It'll be fun. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll catch you then. Thanks for watching as always. Ciao for now.